Well, I didn't have us up in time, Ted.
What happened there?
I thought I had us up on screen, but I didn't.
You just started talking and it was like there was no one there.
And I was like, how come I'm not hearing anything? Oh, that's why, because I didn't hit the button. So hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday, September 16th. It's hump day. Woo, halfway through the week.
TLI show, too little information.
It was just like I was talking to nobody. So you are tuned in to the TMI
it's like a
show.
Metaphor for the conversation between left and right in the United States.
Probably. That over there is the T of the show, Ted Rall. I'm the M, Manila Chan. TMI show for short, because we often bring you too much information. In the truest sense of TMI, because sometimes we talk about like our health issues or aging and aching backs and that sort of thing. We're live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So please be sure to hit the like, the follow, the subscribe, and the share button. So please share, especially that one, because you will really help us grow this little channel that we've been chipping away at for close to a year, Ted. We've been doing this almost a year. We got laid off a year ago.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then
Joe Biden, best,
yes,
most noblest, most mentally able, most
that's right,
sympathetic to the Palestinian cause president of our lifetimes.
Well, not only that,
a true American patriot when
Joe Biden
was awake.
The most sympathetic to American workers, Ted. Obviously.
True.
Obviously.
And free speech.
Obviously a friend of free speech.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how this little show was started, because we thought we would buy some time, keep the energy going in order to, wait out the whole Biden thing. And now we're waiting out the Trump thing. We're 9 months into it, waiting out the whole Trump thing. That stuff hasn't ended. So we're also waiting on our buddy Tyler Nixon. So Tyler Nixon's going to be joining us any minute. He said he was joining us at the top of the hour, and maybe he's having some boomer moments. If he's watching right now, Tyler, I'm giving you grief because yesterday was his birthday. And I'm gonna start razzing him as a boomer.
And my dad's birthday. Although I don't think Tyler's quite as old as my dad. I mean,
you never know.
My dad my dad turned 97 yesterday.
97?
Think about that. I mean, he was born in the Calvin Coolidge administration. I mean, he was born the year that the Model A came out. Right?
Is that right?
He was born before anyone in the United States, years before anyone in the United States had a television set.
Wow. That's wild.
Right. Like, years. I don't think passenger aviation was a thing yet. I don't think anybody had ever, I think like the only people who flew were in the military or daredevils.
Wow. That's weird to think about. I mean, and is he still like
how much
mentally
the world has changed? There were no dial phones. You ran a crank, an operator, and then an operator came on, and you told her, it was always a her, who you wanted to talk to. I mean, the world has changed.
Is he still sharp? Is he still like there?
Dimes and quarters were 90% silver. I mean, just think about how much the world has changed. He still drives. I mean, he's sharp.
What?
He's sharp as a tack, man. I mean, absolutely. No, he's kicking ass and taking names.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, very different than how your mother with her.
Well, that's true. Yeah, my mom.
Wow.
My mom developed dementia she died just shy of her 84th birthday, and it started to get bad when she was 80, 81, 82. Yeah, got really bad when she hit 80, 81, 82.
You're 97 and he's still self-sufficient. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Good for him. Good for him. Tyler Nixon, I don't know. I think Tyler's in his mid-50s. I think he's right around.
I think he's
Hunter
younger than
Biden's
I am.
age.
I'm 62.
He's younger than you. He's right around Hunter Biden's age, because remember, he went to school with Hunter Biden and he knew the Bidens.
But he didn't. I don't think he lived quite as hard as Hunter Biden.
No, I think he lived quite a different life than Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And he even stayed the course in the military. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think he was doing, any blow off of like prostitutes' butts or anything. I don't think that was happening.
Right.
I think he lived a very different life than Hunter. 2 kids, same school, different lives. So there's that. So
that can happen.
So well, Tyler will be joining us shortly.
Shall we get to the news? I mean, Tyler knows the news, but not everyone else knows the news, so maybe I should read it.
Yeah, well, in fact, first, this day in history, Ted, September 17th, 1787, the signing of the United States Constitution. 39 delegates to the Constitutional Convention, including George Washington, James Madison, and Benjamin Franklin, convened in Philadelphia's Independence Hall to formally endorse America's final founding document. The signing followed a 4-month process of drafting a new framework of government to replace the ineffective Articles of Confederation.
Yep.
3 delegates attending the ceremony refused to sign because of the document's lack of a Bill of Rights, which the states remedied in 1791. The Constitution officially took effect in 1789. So that's this day in history, and we got an ad.
Yep, and I'll go ahead and read it right now.
To?
Ready to level up your game? Aim Controllers is where custom meets unbeatable value, and right now it's the best deal of the year. We start with official Sony and Xbox controllers, fully compatible with console and PC, no functionality lost. Then you go wild with custom features, smart bumpers, paddles, grips, stick height, custom buttons, even design your own PS5 snap panels. And here's the part no one else is doing. Lifetime warranty on all modified parts. That's right, lifetime. What other company does that? Exactly. Normally, a fully loaded setup could run you $400, but during our one price promo, it's just $209 or 182 euros. No matter how many features you add, use code RUMBLE at checkout and lock it in. This is your sign. Go to aimcontrollers.com and build the last controller you'll ever need.
I'm not even sure what are we talking about. Gaming controller?
Yeah,
a Robbie question.
It's a gaming controller.
Oh,
of course,
it's a gaming thing, like this kind of controller.
Well, I've got one.
There you go.
It's a console. And I use the promo code Rumble because
we used to call that a joystick back in the old days.
Right.
Yeah. Well, what's nice about this is that it's all Bluetooth, so you can pair it to a console or on a computer, which is what I game on whenever I stream.
Oh,
and so that's how it works. And
very cool.
Don Juan's been jumping onto my streams and watching. I've been doing Mortal Kombat. It's like a movie.
I saw.
It's like a movie that you interact with. It's freaking awesome.
That's what a weird. Okay, that's cool. Okay, I just wasn't sure like exactly what they meant by aim controllers. So
well, it could probably be used for a drone. You know how like Robbie and I as guys constantly get scammers on Telegram, like pretend to be hot Asian girls. Yeah. And basically, and the other day one came on. It was like, Ted Rall, do you sell drones? And I was like, oh my God, I wonder if they know about my obsession with the flamethrower drone.
Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned the flame. Wait, how did the scammer? You think it was random?
Of course.
I think it's random. Yeah.
Well, because what they'll do is they'll come on. There's a lot of different ways they'll come on to do this. It's like, oh, hi, Pam, because they're trying to elicit a response. I'm sorry, you got the wrong number or something. Or they'll come on and say, hey, I got this new job offer for you. And so here's this. And it's just a bunch of different ones. But one of their favorite ones.
The most common one is, sorry to interrupt, Robbie, but the most common one is, I found your contact in my address book, but I don't remember meeting you. Are you Martha? Or whatever.
Yeah. On our.
And what's really funny is, and then if you say something totally off, like, no, I killed Martha and ate her dog, they will ignore that.
When you say I'm Haitian and I ate
they'll just
Martha's
keep going.
cat.
They'll be like, it's so nice to hear from you. What are you doing? And you're like,
well, I told this one that got deported. I sent y'all the screenshots. So I'm actually talking to you out of Guantanamo. I'm on my way to Venezuela, and or El Salvador, and I
did one where it was like, is this Beth? And I was like, Beth died violently, and I'm attending her funeral service right now.
Ted and Robbie.
How are you doing? I just told you how I'm doing.
Tuning in. I don't know how this devolved from our newest ad that we just did into
The drone.
how scammers. Yeah, this is welcome to the show.
But no, in the premium
Ted
episode,
and Robbie always get scammers inboxing them, and they share with me because I say, well, geez, I feel kind of left out because I never get inboxes from scammers, and they said it's because I'm a woman.
Yeah, of course. They're going after horny guys who are lonely. So that's what this is.
Stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. Or all the above. And so if you're stupid, that's probably why you're horny and lonely. So
and why you're horny because
they
you're
kind of just feed in together.
Yeah.
And but
being horny makes you stupid. So
but on the premium show, I will show y'all the best way to deal with these people, because most of them a lot of them seem to be either from Bangladesh or Indonesia, which are some of the most populous Muslim countries in the world. I have found the best way to make the scammers block you.
I know.
And I will share it with you.
You have. It's true. You are right about that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I would tell you what,
scammers to block you.
Block me.
Yeah. I've been following the Robbie principle, and it works.
Oh, it works great. Listen, I would tell y'all right now, but we're on
For
YouTube.
Scammers to 86 you.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm not saying don't say it now because we're live on different platforms.
We can't because
it sounds like it's probably really, really inflammatory.
Yes. And I've gone further than you, Robbie.
I mean, to get a scammer to block you, you've got to. I mean, yeah, it's awesome. Like the last one that I did was I'm going to report you to Telegram. I was like, please,
they said that.
Please go with God, go.
Yeah, I told the bastard, Inshallah. So
exactly.
That's amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to this news.
So let's jaws this stuff and get to the news.
Hey, listen,
if you
want to learn
Robbie's
we'll the Robbie show.
Yeah, that's fine.
If you want to learn Robbie's techniques, you have to tune into the.
By the way, Manila, you never confirmed. We're doing this at 11:30, right? The bonus.
Yeah, I did. I said sure.
Okay, all right. Don't get spicy. All right.
But none of you guys ever listen to anything I type in there.
Hey, you're a girl.
She told me, are there call centers in Guantanamo? Well, I swiped my white privilege card, so that way they let me keep my cell phone.
Yeah.
That's
true. So that's how I made that work. And so yeah, I just because I guess it's kind of like the American Express card. Your white privilege card goes with you everywhere, even to El Salvadorian prisons.
Don't leave home without it.
That's true.
Prisons. So yeah, no, it's awesome. Being white is a superpower.
All right. Okay. Let's jaws it.
Okay, so Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray announced 7 charges.
Ted.
What?
Tyler says he's going to hop on in just a minute. Why don't we start off on the other topics that we can go real quickly? Not Luigi, because I think Tyler wants to get in on that. But we can at least cover Robert Redford. We didn't get to do that yesterday.
All right, let's do Robert Redford. Okay, Robert Redford. Obviously we most people know this already, but anyway, Robert Redford is dead. He's 89 years old. He was the very, very famous, iconic actor and director. He died at his house in Sundance, Utah, surrounded by family. They didn't disclose a cause, but obviously he became famous in the late 60s and became one of the most bankable leading men. He gained international stardom, co-starring with Paul Newman in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1969. The Sting really made him huge. He won an Oscar for that in 1973. I remember my dad taking me to go see that when I was 10. Then throughout the 70s and 80s, he turned in memorable performances in movies like The Way We Were, All the President's Men, and The Natural, also in a romance film, Out of Africa. He directed his own film, All Is Lost, in 2013, in which basically it's just him trying to survive a boat catastrophe. He was also a very big director. Ordinary People, which he directed in 1981, won 4 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Director. He founded the Sundance Institute and the Sundance Film Festival in 1981, helping to put people like Quentin Tarantino on the map. Born August 18th, 1936 as Charles Robert Redford Jr. in Santa Monica, he studied painting before discovering acting on stage and TV. He married Lola von Wagenen in 1958, with whom he had 4 kids, then later married Sibel Zagers in 2009. He got an honorary Oscar in 2002 for his contributions to film. was a Kennedy Center honoree in 2005. He was also known for his commitment to environmental conservation and civil liberties, and for maintaining a quiet, private life far away from Hollywood. Over 6 years, decades of his career, he combined matinee idol appeal with a restless drive to tell meaningful stories in sort of a calm, classy, low-key kind of way. Whether playing outlaws, journalists, or men battling the elements, he had this rugged, thoughtful, unwilling to compromise kind of MO. And of course, he also was kind of a zeitgeist actor and director, not quite as much as Michael Douglas, who always seems to be doing the movie that's going to be talked about at any given time, like that reflects its time like perfectly. But Robert Redford was definitely one of those kinds of actors for a long time, where, if like you would, for example, it's not a great movie, but Indecent Proposal from the 90s with Demi Moore and Woody Harrelson and of course, Robert Redford. That's a movie that got talked about a lot. It was sort of about capitalism and commodification of sex and romance and all these kinds of concerns. He was a, just an amazing like actor of a certain kind of laconic American masculine ideal, like a sort of masculine without being, but a little pretty, right? One of my
without
favorite
being
movies,
too butch.
One of my favorite movies with him is the Candidate, where he's running for political office and it's go, 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 go. The movie is like go, 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 but it's the ending that's just fucking amazing, where the election results come in, he's announced as the winner, and then he turns to his campaign manager and goes, now what? And then the credits roll. And it's fucking great because it's really truly like the consideration. That's the problem of politics, right? It's like you run and run and run and run. Then you're a dog who caught a car, and now you have to fucking do something. So it's, it is kind of cool.
Yeah. I feel terrible for thinking, for whatever reason, I thought he had died a couple of years ago for some, he's old. He's old.
Yes.
And I thought he passed away a couple of years ago for whatever reason. But I think it's because he's been out of the public eye for the last few years. The last time he was like on any red carpet was 2021, I read. So I think I assumed like
he attended Sundance though a couple of years ago.
So I think a few years. So I thought he had passed away. But yeah, he was definitely one of those iconic Hollywood actors that they just don't make anymore.
3 Days of the Condor, also an amazing film. Have you ever seen that? So he's a CIA.
All the President's Men I love.
He's the lowest level CIA spy. He's so basically he works in a safe house in Manhattan on the Upper West Side. And basically his job, he's an analyst. He's not a real spy. He's an analyst. Sits at a desk, cuts out articles from foreign newspapers, and then summarizes them for reports. Like, whatever. Choose, this is from the Romanian press, whatever. Sure. And then he goes out to lunch one day. There's like, maybe 20 people working in the office. He comes back and everyone's been murdered. Everybody's been shot to death. There's been a massacre in the safe house. So he flees, of course. And he doesn't know. He calls into the agency in Langley, but he doesn't know like what happened. Like, in other words, was this a mole? Right? How else would it had to
at a safe house? Right?
Who else fucking knows about the existence of the safe house than someone inside the agency? So he's afraid of coming into contact with whoever is the mole. So he calls his handler from the street, but basically the agency is trying to bring him in, and he's trying to see if he can trust the agency. It's so cool.
No, I've not even like heard of that one, but obviously, like All the President's Men is one of the big ones, obviously, because it was, I think that one was kind of reflective of what was happening.
That's Woodward and Bernstein.
Yeah, reflective of American political society at that time. So I think a lot of, especially kids my age, like that movie, was a handful of years old by the time it came out. So kids like me who at least in my case, I knew I wanted to grow up to be a journalist, like not because of them, I just knew I wanted to do that line of work. So that was like one of those movies you had to watch, right? Like growing up, it's one of those movies you had to see. Robert Redford and Paul Newman together, 2 or 3 times? You know, all the ladies watched it because it's Paul Newman and Robert Redford. I mean, let's face it, they're hot. They're hot for their time, and they were hot even today by today's standards. And I'll just say this, Ted, they really don't make men like that anymore. They just don't. With the exception of my co-host, obviously.
Thank you.
But Ted, you're over 60.
That's true.
I'm saying they don't make them anymore.
That's true.
They just don't.
No.
So it's that classic masculine without being overtly butch look that Hollywood, I think, lacks now. I mean, think about it.
We have either little wussy boys or we have pretty boys. And that's it. Like, those are the two genres.
Like people are into like these Korean K-pop, like very feminine.
Pretty.
That's the look now. They just, it's a loss for all straight females around the world where we go, oh, the last of that archetype of man. I was more of a Paul Newman fan, though, I have to say.
Huh. Well, and Paul Newman's still
between the two.
Is Paul Newman still with us?
No, he's way dead.
Oh,
like way dead.
But Manila, his popcorn lives on.
His salad dressings, Ted. I'm a Paul Newman salad dressing. Newman's own.
I thought he was a popcorn guy too, or is that someone else?
He has popcorn too. And that foundation, like he was, the political. Oh, speaking of which, like how these actors and whatever spin off into food. Did you know today? I've talked about Ben and Jerry's ice cream. Today, even though they sold off to Unilever, like 10, 12 years ago, something like that. They sold off Ben and Jerry's, right? Today, this morning, Jerry Greenfeld, is that his real name? Jerry of Ben and Jerry's ice cream quit the company. Ben and Jerry were both still running the company. Jerry quit the company today after 50 years, Ted.
Well,
you know why?
Too. Why?
But you know why? He said because after Unilever, he had basically a fight with Unilever. He said it's basically he's an anti-Zionist Jew, and he basically said I'm quitting the company because one of the core tenets, one of the core values that me and Ben, founding this company, was that the core tenet is one of these social cause things, and my position on Gaza, on Palestine, and the whole conflict with Israel does not align with Unilever's
so
position.
Unilever is too in bed with the butchers of Gaza.
So Jerry Greenfield or Feld, Jerry left the company today.
Okay, it's always nice to see someone be a person of principle. Let's see, there's a question for me here. Orville Redenbacher is the popcorn fellow. Okay, that's good to know. Oh, which movie do I like more? Frasmataz wants to know. 3 Days of the Condor or Falcon and the Snowman. I hate Sean Penn for his politics. Reminds me of Bono. but I love Sean Penn in hateable roles. Sean Penn is one of those actors. You have to give him his props. I don't care about someone's politics or personality or anything like that. I mean, I watch them regardless of like I know Jerry Seinfeld is gay for the IDF, but I'll still watch him anytime. So good question. So I think 3 Days of the Condor is objectively the cooler movie, but Falcon and the Snowman is definitely worth watching. And it's also just so quintessentially 80s in the same way that like Falcon 3 Days is quintessentially 70s, very much of its time. My favorite Sean Penn role has to be from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, though, where he orders the pizza into his high school classroom. And then there's he's in Casualties of War, right? Also, with what's his name, with Fox. And so, yeah, Michael J. Fox. So anyway, should we move on to the next one, or do we have Tyler with us?
I just texted Tyler. He said he was having a firmware update.
Oh my God.
He says almost there.
Let's keep going. All right, listen.
Boomer.
This is
Boomer,
a topic of interest to me. Okay, former President Donald Trump has launched a $15 billion defamation lawsuit against the New York Times, 4 of its journalists, and Penguin Random House publishers, accusing them all of orchestrating what he calls a campaign of calculated falsehoods in order to destroy his business and political standing. Filed in federal court in Florida, the campaign targets a series of investigative articles and a recent book, Lucky Loser, How Donald Trump squandered his father's fortune and created the illusion of success. Trump argues that the reporting was riddled with inaccuracies and timed to inflict maximum damage before the 2024 election. Among the disputed claims are accounts of his personal finances, portrayals of his television career, and an alleged lewd birthday note said to link him to Jeffrey Epstein. The defendants acted with actual malice, the lawsuit contends. That phrase is important because in order to win a defamation claim as a public figure like Donald Trump, you have to prove what is actual malice under the 1964 lawsuit of Sullivan versus New York Times, asserting that Suzanne Craig, Russ Butner, Peter Baker, who I actually know Peter Baker, full disclosure, and Michael Smith knew their stories were false or recklessly disregarded the truth. Trump maintains that their work inflicted billions of dollars in damage to his businesses, tarnished his rep as he ran for office again. The Times, of course, is saying that the whole thing is meritless and they'll fight the lawsuit. Penguin defended the book's accuracy and their right to publish. Legal scholars, of course, talked about the steep hurdles, and you and I can talk about what Trump would have to prove here in this case. And Trump's action is the latest, of course, in a string of lawsuits he's filed against media outlets. Supporters see a principled stand against what they call fake news. Critics are worried about a chilling effect on journalism, and that's basically where we are. It's also very unusual for a sitting president to file a lawsuit against a company of any kind. So it is interesting. So basically, look, here's the thing. Defamation it's very hard in the United States to win any kind of defamation claim, especially when you're a public figure and especially when you're suing a news organization like a major newspaper like the New York Times, because basically they're very protected by the First Amendment. And the courts will generally and the laws are really written in their favor, and the courts will tend to be biased in favor of the defense in these cases. What Trump is going to have to prove is that the paper published shit about him that was harmful. That's the key thing. It's not enough for it to be a lie. Let's say you said, Ted Rall always wears pink shirts. It's not true, but it's not really harmful to be thought of as someone who wears pink shirts. So it's got to be harmful to you. In other words, like it costs you money, or it's like, let's say you're falsely accused of being a pedophile. That would be grievous harm to your reputation. Sure. So then you have to know that they knew it was false. In other words, or they had reckless disregard for the truth. Now, reckless disregard for the truth basically means, the first rule of journalism is if your mom says she loves you, check it out. Well, that's not checking it out, right? But reckless disregard for the truth in defamation claims, even though this is part of the 1964 case law, is almost always ignored. It's like the failure of a paper to check things out before they publish it, even if that can be established by the plaintiff, is often ignored by the courts. And so I'm not saying, and it's not really right, but it's what happens. Like in my case against the LA Times, that was really not an issue because I was able to prove in court that they knew that what they were publishing was false, and they published it anyway. Now, that's extremely unusual. Most of the time when a newspaper smears you, it's because basically they published a piece of shit without sourcing it properly. And that's it. Also, if a newspaper published a retraction, that tends to get them off the hook. But the Times is a little bit on the ropes these days. They had gotten away with smearing Sarah Palin in the Gabby Giffords
right.
situation. But then she managed miraculously and correctly, in my view, to revive her case against the New York Times. And so now she's going to get to have her day in court. She's almost certainly going to win because they knew what they were told by the fact checker before they went to print that what they were about to print was probably not true, and they went to press anyway. Their only real defense is that it was an editorial rather than, so that's an expression of opinion as opposed to a news story. But that's not going to be much of a defense, and I think she's going to win. And the New York Times is going to be in deep shit because they're going to have
How
to
much
pay
is
her
she
a lot of
suing
money.
them for?
I forget.
I forgot that case.
I think it's tens of millions. But it's
not this. This is $15 billion.
Yeah,
billion dollars.
It's insane. I think this is a shakedown on the part of Donald Trump. And it's a little disturbing, I will say, for a sitting president to sue a major news organization. He's a sitting president. It's a little scary. It's basically suing the Fourth Estate from the corridors of power. And this is after he's won the presidency. So it's kind of like, even if he has the facts on his side, it's going to be very hard for him to prove his case. But more to the point, I think a judge is going to be, or in this case, it'll be since it's federal court, it'll be a panel of judges. I think it's going to be hard for a panel of judges to really want to come down on the New York Times because the political implications of it will be so brutal. But, look, that said, Donald Trump was the victim of lawfare as well as press fare in this last cycle. There's everybody who read the New York Times knows that what Trump is saying here is basically true. They had a hard-on for him. They weren't simply reporting the news. Now, they have a lot of discretion to have a hard-on for him as long as everything that they say is true. But not everything they said about him was true.
Fannie Willis she was still trying to go after Trump, believe it or not, after her own like Grey Goose drama and boyfriend drama went away down over in Georgia. And again, so she tried to go after Donald Trump. And yesterday, also, a judge just said, "Nope, this is meritless. Go, tossing it. Goodbye."
So this is going to feed into the Democrats' narrative that he's kind of trying to be an authoritarian despot, I think fairly it's going to play into that. It's rough, man. I mean, I see Donald Trump's point, but it's like not every fight is worth fighting.
Look,
and like I don't think it's good for the Republic. Now that said,
he's got
the New York
axe to
Times,
grind,
someone
Ted,
should
obviously.
He's got many axes to grind.
Obviously, and with what's her name, E. Jean Carroll, and the stuff did she work for them at any point, or
No,
I feel like
she never worked for them. No, she worked for a magazine.
They published a lot.
Vanity Fair or Elle or something like that.
I don't know. One of those social magazines for sure. But I feel like when the whole E. Jean Carroll case was going on, they covered it relentlessly, nonstop, and were like taking quotes from her. She was able to say whatever the hell she wanted.
That's right.
The entire time. And I remember going, well, they're not getting Donald Trump's quotes here. They're just taking E. Jean Carroll's. Like that's not journalism.
Yeah,
like,
and it's not like they didn't reach out to him because there was never any comment that said we approached Trump for comment and he didn't get back to us. And so
that's not journalism.
I agree. It's not journalism. It's not against the law, but it ought to be. Like
well, I don't know if it's against the law.
It's against ethics, certainly. I mean, like if you work ethics, and your high school newspaper editor will tell you have to contact all sides involved. And try to get a comment.
And at least 3 sources, right? That's like the golden rules in journalism, like that you should learn
yesterday
in high school.
Speaking of this, right? So just yesterday, Manila, the New York Times published a piece alleging that Russia is basically has sent thousands of these Ukrainian babies and kids to re-education, like indoctrination camps all over Russia, basically to beat the Ukrainian out of them and Russify them completely. Now the thing is, I read the piece, right? And it's kind of like, first of all, they didn't contact the Russian Federation. They didn't ask for comment. They got no. It's like one of those things. Like, it may all be true, but it's very poorly sourced. It's very thin. I don't think an editor should have published it as it was. That's what you're talking about here. Basically, like, when a newspaper decides to transcribe one side of a story and they don't reach out to the other side. That's like LA Times style. That's what they do.
That's exactly right. And to Robbie's point, he says, because it's not journalism, it's propaganda. And Tyler popped on for a second. His video didn't pop on, and he popped off. So he's gonna boomer it up, and he'll be here in just a second, I'm sure.
So we'll see what happens here with
this is
Trump.
This is what pisses me off about the New York Times and Ted. When I was a teenage girl in the 90s, and I had dreams of moving to New York City and working for the New York Times, and just all. But by the time I got to college, and certainly into my 20s, what the New York Times became was just. It was no
question.
By the early 2000s.
Manila, by the way, something occurred to me. Trump is exposing himself to some legal jeopardy that he may not have fully considered. So one of the big defenses that he had in his first term when he was subjected to lawfare from the Democrats was, I'm the president of the United States. I can't sit down for depositions. I don't have time to appear in court. I'm too busy. I'm the president, right?
Right.
Okay, but now he's suing everybody, right? So let's say the Democrats take power and they start lawfare again, after they take back the House of Representatives next year. That could happen. Well, he's not going to have that defense. Trump's not going to have that defense. He's not going to be able to say, I don't have time to appear in court, because then the judge is going to say, well, you have time to go. Obviously, you have time to go in court because you're starting all sorts of lawsuits all over the place.
Well, no,
so you do have time to go to court.
He's just having lawyers file them. It's not like he's going to the courthouse and filing these papers himself.
Yeah, I mean, look, if there's a case, if this goes to trial, of course he's going to have to sit down for depositions.
Well,
he's going to have to.
Well, hold on. Tyler's here. Well, we'll just ask Tyler real quickly, since he's the one actual attorney here. Tyler Nixon, Tyler, I don't know what happened with your birthday yesterday. It turned you into a boomer trying to figure out.
See between these fingers. Technology. You see what's between these fingers. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you sound good, look good. We're happy to have you. And he's
just like that.
But he could hear us. Hear us, but he dropped off in video. But Tyler, so we could hear you. So if great. Trump is suing the New York Times, right,
and everyone else.
Well, first of all, Crocker Jarman
have to show up.
Crocker Jarman, remember that, the candidate?
No,
not really.
He was the senator that Robert Redford ran against.
Oh yeah, and the candidate, the movie
Crocker Jarman.
Yes, that's
I love that movie. Great movie. Yeah,
fantastic movie.
So anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no! So Ted's saying that.
So I was saying, Tyler, what I was saying is that there's. I wonder if Trump is exposing himself to some legal jeopardy, because usually a sitting president can avoid going to court by saying, "Look, I'm the president. I can't sit down for depositions. I can't go to trial. I'm too busy. I'm the leader of the free world." But if the Democrats get back the control of the House next year and they start all sorts of oversight hearings and they want to drag him before depositions and they start more lawfare, he won't be able to say that because he's filed so many lawsuits that, he can't really say, well, I don't have time for court. Like, obviously, dude, you have time for court. That's what you're filing lawsuits. You're a plaintiff in a zillion lawsuits. I'm just wondering if that would be like he's exposing himself maybe unwittingly.
Well, I think it comes down to, compulsory process. So it's whether he can be forced into court, because he doesn't have to be present to maintain. He can have his attorneys completely prosecute any sort of defamation suit. If it came down to his testifying, he could. But so I think it comes down to, again, that's his voluntary deal. He can do that as president. They can't say, well, we can force you now into court. That's the distinction there.
Okay. Now, speaking of court, you and I called to wish you a happy birthday yesterday, and we got into this whole talk about these different cases that are going on right now that are kind of, I would say, have divided America. First, what happened in December of last year was the murder, the Luigi Mangione case, the murder of Brian Thompson, right? The UnitedHealth CEO. That sparked a lot of heated debate across America. And a heated debate yesterday on this show, where I was the lone woman. and the Charlie Kirk murder case, because the charges were filed yesterday. So perfect timing that you're joining us. So for those who don't know, Tyler Nixon is an Army infantry veteran, counselor at law, constitutionalist, he's advocate, writer, technologist, critical historian, an extremist in the defense of liberty. So with that in mind, given that he is a JD and knows the Constitution, my position between these two murder cases, and that's precisely what they are, and correctly so, is that murder is murder is murder, and that not only are we talking about first-degree murder charges, or we can go over the different charges. Let me just read real quick the whole Charlie Kirk thing just yesterday. Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray on Tuesday announced 7 charges, including murder against the suspect Tyler Robinson in connection with the fatal shooting last week of conservative political activist Charlie Kirk, and said he would seek the death penalty in the trial case. In addition to the aggravated murder charge, the 22-year-old Robinson is charged with 2 counts of obstruction of justice in connection with him allegedly trying to hide or destroy evidence related to the shooting Wednesday of Kirk at a rally at Utah Valley University, specifically hiding the rifle he allegedly used and destroying the clothes he allegedly wore in the shooting. Gray said Robinson was charged with aggravated murder, which is a capital offense, for, quote, intentionally or knowingly causing the death of Charlie Kirk at great risk of death for others. He also said the defendant is believed to have targeted Kirk, quote, based on his political expression, knowing children were present and would witness a homicide. The other charges are related to witness tampering, which is a 3rd-degree felony, telling his roommate to delete these incriminating texts and to stay silent when asked by police. The last charge is the commission of a violent offense in the presence of a child, which is a Class A misdemeanor for committing homicide, knowing that children were present there at this event and may have seen or have heard the murder, and did so based on Kirk's political expression, according to the prosecutor. So, quote, following the press conference, I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney based solely on the available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime. Robinson will be continued to be held without bail at the Utah County Jail because of this death penalty that they're seeking. So, Tyler, as an attorney, all that language, explain.
I think it was interesting that I believe Utah was the last state to use the firing squad as a death penalty.
It's allowed right now.
The firing squad is still available, but it's not
by
like
choice, right?
It's only if the lethal injection drug isn't available, and sometimes it's not because the states have been having trouble getting them.
Now, what was the name? Gary? Oh gosh,
Gilmore.
Gary
Gilmore.
Yep. So I think this the whole thing stinks to high heaven. We're talking about this murder suspect when there's a lot of unanswered questions about the actual event, the assassination, the trajectories, the types of wounds involved. Having been in the military, having been a sniper grade shot, having handled firearms since I was, in my early teens, and looking at the thing that struck me immediately was the trajectory of someone on a roof would almost be obscured by the tent from the angle, and this is very bizarre. I mean, and also they said he disassembled this weapon, this firearm, which is a Mauser, a customized or sporterized, I call it, Mauser rifle. And that is not something that you just like take apart like a breakdown, like taking apart a tripod or something. You have to, there's large bolts that hold, the weapon into the stock. And in addition to that, if you move it in the stock, or move it from the stock, you're going to lose a very good chance you're going to lose the zeroing of the scope on the rifle. And this was a massive scope, so it would have to be very carefully zeroed. And just, I mean, but getting back to, I mean, we might as well deal with the fact is there's going to be questions about this forever now because of all the, and everybody's analyzing, I'm sure you've seen it on X, all sorts of video that's come out, the different angles, and there's muzzle flashes. Apparently there's strange people, odd hand gestures amongst his own security. It's really bizarre. There's a surveillance plane apparently that was flying overhead. This, an FAA records show was like basically over the river adjacent to the university. It was only about 300 feet above the ground. This is a Bombardier private jet that's a surveillance plane used by the U.S. Army. And it was almost at stall speed, and it was literally flying 300 feet right at the time of the shooting. So, it's just, there's so much weirdness. Again, this kid couldn't have broken down this rifle. So how did he jump off the roof with it? It's supposedly in his leg, pant leg. I don't know. But anyway, as far as the death penalty goes, he seems to be admitting to the shooting. So, you have to look, if this was an intelligence involved shooting, he's a patsy, but he's a witting and willing patsy in a sense. Like, they knew he was going to do this. They were probably monitoring, I believe they said he had talked about it in a Discord chat. Apparently there are more people that knew about it than just him, or his lover apparently didn't know at all, based on the text messages that have been released. However, an intelligence operation, they could have him thinking he's doing the whole shooting himself, and they have people down there on the ground that make sure it happens. And this is very much what they tried to do with Lee Harvey Oswald. They tried to, they set him up, but there were other shooters that were making sure the job got done. So it strikes me as this scenario, but if you had Oswald wanting to actually do the killing. But so I think he will get the death penalty in Utah, I believe. And I watched the hearing, or I watched him in the hearing, and I thought, man, how must that feel? Because based on the text, he thought he was going to get away with it. Like, he literally thought, and if they, let's face it, if they hadn't found the rifle, he probably would, because that was the only thing that they could link him to. I mean, other than the facial recognition, or trying to, that probably would have ultimately yielded, but they didn't have the murder weapon. If he was somehow able to dispose of it, that would have been a very difficult, much more difficult case. But apparently he couldn't recover the weapon or retrieve it, which I don't understand. Again, if he had secreted it in his leg as he left, why wouldn't he have just gone straight and put it in his vehicle?
I read that in some of the text messages sent to his roommate or / lover was that he dropped the rifle off from the roof in a wrapped towel into the bushes, and then we see the video of him escaping off the rooftop and then running away, and then he was texting his roommate that he needs to go back to retrieve the rifle, and then after,
which belonged to his grandfather,
actually, after the heat wears off first, he says that he was going to wait. But that's, I don't know.
So yeah, I didn't notice that. Where's I mean, there's got to be cameras all over the place on that campus.
Right, you would think.
I think the fact that we have so much being withheld, it's going to have to come out. I mean, because this is where this is what creates and generates people's conspiratorial urgings, is the fact that they're not releasing information, and it's just all these anomalies that happen. But yeah, look, he apparently, I mean, he's not speaking to them, or I guess he did begin, as I understood, they said you have to watch the headlines. He, quote, confessed, but in these text messages, but apparently he hasn't cooperated or spoken with them at all.
Correct.
And you got to think, like, he doesn't look like a sort of like the Crooks guy, or some of these other shooters who are, well, if you look back to, say, the shooters like the Aurora, Colorado out here shooter, James, what's his name, who was looked like a doped up mind control victim, really. This guy seems to be, compos mentis. He seems to be there, not even if he isn't saying anything. And look, I mean,
he doesn't look MK Ultra. You're saying?
Well,
not
cooperating shows that he is
right, exactly.
Right.
No, and the fact that he's
that's what you should do. You should never talk to the cops.
No, exactly.
But why? By the way, why would you turn yourself in? It's kind of like, well, the main point of turning himself in peaceably is to avoid getting killed by the cops.
It was either that,
but you're going to go and be executed by the cops anyway. What's the difference?
Well, his father was going to turn him in. His family was going to turn him in. Yeah.
Right.
They put it to him, and he realized he didn't think this through very, very long range. He had maybe a week, right? He claims in the text message that he's been planning it for about a week. And he's clearly clever. He's clearly intelligent. As I understand it, he was like an A student. He did drop out of college.
Not smart enough to take the gun with him.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, you don't think these things through, but I mean, he
first rule is don't leave anything behind.
Right. Well, I guess he felt he couldn't be out in the open as you see him walk after he jumps off the roof. He couldn't have a rifle. And he couldn't stash it. And I guess he figured I'm going to have to go back for it. Or I don't know, maybe he didn't think that far ahead. Usually, and this is a rare case because typically any types of these mass shooters expect to be taken out or they don't think beyond the act.
Right.
So he clearly thought beyond it. And
there was no statement, no manifesto.
No, but he thought through. He thought, because I think he said I expected to get have see old age come
right
with this unsolved. And I think he's as clever as you get in terms of having someone who's going to try to be an assassin and craven enough to try to cowardly enough not to face up to the consequences.
Well, the whole controversy around like the legal steps and the whole FBI cash patel, there's all like you said at the top, Tyler, that there's just a lot of holes in the official story, but that's I mean, I don't know how we're going to shake that out, and certainly we're not going to do it in the next 10 or 15 minutes, but one of the conversations, and Ted might have to bounce. I'll pop Robbie on, but what I would like for you to weigh in on is part of the conversation we were having yesterday is this moral dilemma between, like, also what happened yesterday. Another legal case was the Luigi case. Yesterday, the New York State judge Gregory Caro dismissed 2 terrorism-related charges against Mangione. These were first-degree murder as an act of terrorism and second-degree murder as a crime of terrorism. The judge ruled the evidence was legally insufficient to prove that Mangione acted with the intent required under New York's terrorism laws, namely that he intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population or influence government policy. Expressing anger or anti-insurance sentiment isn't itself enough under the law to satisfy the terrorism standard. Mm-hmm. So that all happened. That happened yesterday. This charge against Luigi was dropped, or a couple charges against Luigi were dropped. Charges were brought officially against Robinson. And now you, as a constitutionalist, as an attorney, is there ever a case where any of these murders can be justifiable? My position, being a layperson and not an attorney, just a stupid reporter, is that murder is murder is murder. I don't care if it's first degree, second degree, whatever. Let the courts figure that part out. But as a moral person, you cannot justify murdering anybody. For me, whether it's through the court system and capital punishment, whether it's by way of waging war, or gunning people down on the street like Charlie Kirk or Brian Thompson, that is all repulsive, repugnant, uncivilized human behavior. It's the ugliest and darkest of our consciousness. And I think nobody has the right to do this to anybody. I don't care if it's a government, and I don't care if it's, a judicial thing. I think it's wrong. Ted and Robbie were arguing otherwise. What's your take on this?
Oh, that's not true. That is not that. Robbie and
that
I
is
were,
true.
No, Robbie and I were not arguing that the murder was justified. We said murder is never justified. However, that said, you have the absolutely most let's just put it. Let's put it the least likable victim that you could possibly ask for. A mass murderer, effectively, who has killed hundreds of thousands of people with the stroke of a pen or a few clicks of a computer mouse from his desk, right? Who basically kills people.
Of course,
for
you're
profit.
saying this about Brian
Thompson. Yeah, like the UnitedHealthcare.
Brian Thompson
CEO.
didn't invent health insurance. He didn't invent the laws in this country.
But he's a monster. And so the point is, it's like, so it's kind of like, am I sad that he's dead? Of course not. And like, and most Americans aren't sad either. That said, you know, I mean, Luigi committed murder. I mean, would I hang the jury? Yeah. Would I nullify the jury? Yeah.
All right.
Because it's rough justice.
Well, what about the people who paid large premiums to UnitedHealthcare and funded his salary? Aren't they responsible too?
I mean, not as much.
If you want to keep going down this slope, I mean, you know, everybody, we're all, you know,
it's kind of like, okay, well, like at the end of World War II, right? I mean, the commander of Auschwitz was considered worse than like an SS guard, which was worse, and who was worse than the guy who guarded the gate, which is worse than a capo. I mean, you know, there's a hierarchy here. There are people who are more guilty than others, and certainly he was at the top of the pyramid here. He was a big fish.
No, I understand that, and I think that these are decisions. If he's committed crimes, charge him with them. We have due process of law, and look, I understand totally how it's. I understand the feeling. Many times I fantasize having Dick Cheney's melon head in my crosshairs. Let me tell you, during the Iraq War, and you know, I feel the same way about Bibi Netanyahu. You know, these days.
Ditto. And if something bad happened to him, I'm not going to cry.
No, not at all. But I think there's a difference, though. I mean, you know, those two are war criminals now.
Right.
The CEO of look, it's just, I'm sorry, vigilantism is the end. It's the end of civilization. And like I think reveling in it, the cold-blooded, cowardly, you know, shot him in the back murder of this guy in the street unarmed, is a despicable act. And I think Mangione is not a hero, and the fact that he's held up as such is a really dismal reflection, an abysmal reflection on the state of our society. Look, I mean, like, again, if you revel in that, that's just straight up, you know, cold-blooded first-degree murder.
Yeah, it was
right. I find that to be no different than the people on TikTok dancing on Charlie Kirk's grave.
Well, here's a question, Manila. Maybe the question is not a question of guilt. Like, clearly, you know, I mean, Luigi is guilty of murder. The question is, it's really a question of punishment. I mean, should all murder be punished exactly the same way? If you kill, you know, a pedophile, is it, you know, should you be punished as severely as if you're the pedophile who kills a child? I mean, you know,
well, it depends on the jurisdiction. I mean, there's places that, like, it's a slap on the wrist in some cases when you, you know, some types of murders. Other places are draconian with it, and I think Utah is one of those. So, you know, Robinson's really looking down the barrel of a barrel, you know.
And mandatory sentencing,
New York, Mangione might get 15 or 20 years and be out, you know, for all we know. I mean, I just think that's very possible. So even within the justice system, there's a lot of unevenness. And, you know, you're right. I mean, these come down to judgment calls, as, you know, and really down to things like who's on the jury, what is their background, what do they feel, how do they think, and look, the justice system is imperfect, but at least we're putting it in the hands of people who, you know, put it through a procedure. There are rights that are vindicated in that process, and you know, I'm just glad they caught this guy. I mean, I think it was, look, I have no love for any sort of corporate executives and these people. I think it's disgraceful, despicable what they do. But murder is not the solution. It never will be. It's barbarism, and you know, he did have a family, regardless. And again, it's like, what was accomplished by this? Because he's just immediately replaced by someone else.
That's
and
right.
Nothing changed. All he did was, frankly, he hurt his cause. You know, he made those who stand against, you know, big insurance companies look like fringe wackos.
I mean, the problem is here, right? I mean, it really ultimately, whether you're someone who's frustrated with these big insurance companies, like we all are, or you're someone who is like, you hate someone's politics. I don't care whether you're on the left or on the right, and the victim is on the left or on the right. The point is the frustration. I think that people tend to resort to these kind of violent acts when they believe, rightly or wrongly, that they have no other recourse. There's no other way for them to be heard, or for them to. So, for example, Robbie and I were kind of arguing yesterday about Brian Thompson. There's never going to be any way to hold a guy like that accountable, short of a revolution that overthrows the government and puts him like on trial. That's not going to happen under the current system. Everything he was doing was perfectly legal and, in fact, highly remunerated. And I think and
the political process is bought off anyway. I mean, let's face it; these people are all
they own every congressman. And then I'm guessing that someone like Tyler Robinson, who's accused here, he thought that Charlie Kirk was a hateful right-wing zealot who basically needed to be shut up by any means necessary. And so he took it upon himself to do that. Probably if he had felt that he could have done a podcast or gone on and made himself heard in a way that would effectively counter that right-wing speech, then he might not have done this. I mean, there's absolutely, look, Charlie Kirk, let's be clear here, never hurt anyone, right? So, he's no Brian Thompson.
Yeah. Well, even if his rhetoric was in the extreme, which it wasn't, he was a very moderate. I mean, other than his sort of Christian conservatism, his views were very moderate, generally speaking, compared to some of the, much more radical elements on either side. And the fact is that, what's most disturbing is the fact that someone thinks just casually, yeah, I'm just going to take this guy out. I'm just going to blow his head off. I mean, it's just like, and so sort of just, oh yeah, matter of fact about it. Like, I mean, this should be the most abhorrent. This guy should be held up as a monster.
I mean,
because
Tyler,
if you go down this road,
let's talk about the mental state,
do you have
right?
To go?
I do have to go, but I want to ask this one question. Then I'm going to go. But I mean, mental state, right? I mean, there's been a million studies that show that your brain's not really finished until you're 25 years old.
Yes.
I mean,
true.
We know that if you ever go to a prison and visit the lifers or the murderers, they all killed people when they were like basically between the ages of like 16 and like 25. There's almost nobody who starts doing shit. Nobody wakes up at like 45 years of age and goes out and does something like this.
Right.
It's always young guys. And then, I mean, should the legal system first of all, as a society, should we figure out a way to somehow, is there a way we can get a handle on these young men mostly and like sort of, figure out a way to like not have them do stupid shit like this? Or, and then the other question is, should courts kind of take that into account? Like, the person you were when you're like, when I talked to guys who were 50 who had killed their wife when they were 19 or killed a bank guard when they were 20, they're never going to do anything like that again, ever, if you let them go. I mean, is there a way for society to sort of redeem some of these people?
Well, the key is the mens rea aspect. I mean, what is their intent? Could they fully form intent? And in this case, the guy's 22. He absolutely did. I mean, he plotted, and it's premeditated, slam dunk. But that comes down to, there's questions of juvenile charging. Whether, I mean, you have up until you're 18 essentially to commit very heinous crimes and not be held to the adult standard. Now, in some cases like Texas, they're saying I know in Nevada, those guys who ran over that ex-police chief were tried as adults. The system has, and again, this is where you get the unevenness of it. I don't know that there's any silver bullet really, but I think there's a sense in the society, and I think it's righteous, that look, if you have taken a life, you cannot just walk away scot-free if it's not purely an accident. In other words, no intent there whatsoever, no intent, any criminal intent. And I don't mean just the intent to kill. I mean also any intent to commit a crime, because usually any of these, people don't just run out and murder for the sake of it. You mentioned all these young guys in prison. That was always in the course of another crime, like an armed robbery or whatever have you, or just reckless disregard for people. And it's can they be redeemed? Sure, after 20 to 25 years, I guess. And I just, some of these cases where you have these old guys who are, the guy's been sitting there for 40 years in prison or something. He committed a murder when he was 19. Yeah, I think it gets excessive to hold people beyond it, because if you don't believe he's an actual threat to society, retribution, and if the person has done everything possible over that time to show they're rehabilitated, to redeem themselves, they've and this is typically what happens, they become religious and they actually become good people, and they become sort of the wise men of these prisons. That's the only thing that I could see being a release valve, is that, life in prison without parole. It depends. Obviously, if you butchered a family or something like that, you're not getting out, and you never should get out. But if it's just if it's in the commission of, you didn't intend to kill, but it was a heat of the moment kind of thing, and felony murder, that's another one.
What about the Menendez brothers?
Yeah.
Ted's got a dip.
Oh, great seeing you, Ted.
Robbie on.
Likewise. Take care. Talk to you soon.
Yep, sounds good.
See you in a little bit, Ted. Okay, we're removing Ted. We'll pop Robbie in there, but please tell us about, if based on that theory, Tyler, the Menendez brothers who have been in, that it was a targeted hit on their parents. We all know that, right? We all grew up in that era. We all know that was a targeted hit, but they've been in prison now for 30 years. They keep getting denied parole. They were young. They were 19 or 20 years old when this happened, and they were allegedly victims of molestation by the hands of their own dad, and their mom, I guess, was at least tacitly aware, whatever. And it was a targeted attack. I'm from LA. Everyone talked about this in the 90s. I don't feel like they were even that at that point necessarily a threat to public safety, much less 30 years later, right? These guys have supposedly been model prisoners, everyone says good things about them. Can guys like that, who this was a targeted murder of their parents, can they and should they be released?
Should have gotten out.
Sorry, Tyler. Hold on. Can you start over? For whatever reason, I kicked Ted out, and it took you out with it.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I got you.
Okay. I said, would you advocate releasing the killers of Lino and Rosemary LaBianca by the Manson family? It's very similar circumstances, just that the killers in the Menendez brothers case were family members. Was there any independent verification or proof of their having been molested? That sounds very convenient to their story. I think they had very, the most heinous criminal intent. Killing your parents essentially for money, as I understand what their motives were. And did they not admit this later, or have they ever really come clean about the crime?
There was, first of all, it was two court cases, right? The first one it couldn't hold up. The case got thrown out. The DA got a second bite at the apple, and there was allegedly, according to the Netflix documentary that came out about the boys, there was exculpatory evidence, at least in the way of diaries and letters written to cousins, in other parts of town, about the molestation, about in real time in the late 80s.
Okay.
Saying my dad did this or my dad did that or whatever. I know that's not hard evidence, but
so I have a question.
Robbie, by the way, great to see you, man.
Oh, good to see you too, my friend. It's been a while.
Yeah, sure has.
So here's my question about this. Personally, I think that the Menendez brothers should have been executed after they were committed and their heads put on spikes. That's where I stand on that. They murdered their parents. Let's just
say that you're pro capital punishment.
Oh, very much so.
But let's assume that this was true, that they were molested children.
Well,
that
hold on.
Acted out.
Well, I'm getting to that. So let's just assume that was true. Back in the 90s, we had these things called telephones. They could have called the cops. They could have went to a school counselor. They could have went to somebody in a position of authority
But
and
a lot of
reported
victims
on this.
do that. A lot of
But
victims
you
never
know
do that
what?
for
Okay, but
years
how many
and
people
years.
are molested but no
That's the
murder for it?
FAFO principle. You fuck around, you find out.
Well, I mean, you do have a soft spot in your heart for the Menendez brothers, Manila. We can.
Because look, we don't know if they really were molested, and I have known people that were molested as kids, and they not only did not go after, not only did they not murder their molesters, but they didn't even begin talking about it until 20, 30 years later. I mean, for example, take the Epstein victims, for example. Many of these women didn't start talking until as of recent, and these are like 40-year-old women now, right? So,
Well, they also received settlements, money
that too. But
settlements.
if there was any grain of truth to what happened, I personally still don't
I think,
agree with
look,
murdering anybody. But
I can't share your sympathy for the Menendez brothers, although I don't really have an axe to grind either way. But I mean, just in terms of the need for prison space, frankly, for violent criminals that are roaming the streets now, I think we need to assess after a certain number of decades, let's just say, especially if they're young. They were young men at the time. What are they, 20, in their early 20s?
19 or 20.
I mean, I think the courts should, take that into consideration. The fact that when you have someone so young, it could potentially Sirhan's another one. I mean, he was paroled, but Newsom was keeping him locked up, which is just a despicable situation because I think Sirhan was not aware of what was going on. I mean, he has no memory, but we can take that to another time. But the man's been in prison for 57 years at this point. He has, I mean, he's harmless. And, it's like, at what point is retribution just taking up prison space needlessly and essentially torturing a person, when they're not the same person they were. They have gone through, I mean, my God, can you imagine 57 years behind bars? I mean, I don't think the guy could adjust to normal life. I mean, I think he'd probably want to go back. I mean, that happens after a certain.
Like, for example, the Leonard Peltier case, right? Leonard Peltier, the Native American,
sure,
supposedly killing, all these FBI agents at Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. This was 1975. The dude is 81. At what point is the sentence for murder 1, murder 2, whatever it is it enough? I'm not, again, I don't ever believe in justification of any murder.
Yeah, there are heinous crimes that it's just like, it doesn't matter how much you rehabilitate yourself. If you've committed such a horrifying act, like murdering children or anything. I mean, I think there are certain crimes beyond which, look, that person has to be locked away. But there's this certain bloodlust amongst prosecutors that disturbs me as well, where it's like, here's an old man, harmless. He served, more than a lifetime probably in prison. And you're just, it's just like, no, we can never let, I mean, it's just, come on, the system should not be purely about this retributive, just completely at any cost situation where, again, I think there should be, I mean, the Menendez brothers, I don't know the specifics of the case. I know they have certainly strived to better themselves, but it almost seems schemy on some level to me, like how they've gone about it. I mean, is it genuine? Well, I don't know. These are why we have courts, because these are the toughest cases that you just don't want sort of the mob deciding. You want people who are thoughtful and reasoned and detached, disinterested. That's why, again, prosecutors kind of I have a bone to pick with a lot of them, because I think they go so far overboard. But then you have ones who, it sounds like these Utah prosecutors, for example, the Robinson's case, sound very methodical, very systematic, and very disinterested. They're passionate about vindicating justice, but they're not lusting to put notches in their gun belt.
Well, I think that I think that I might have a theory as to why, Tyler, and I'd be interested in your opinion on this. The United States is one of the only countries, not the only country, that has a for-profit prison system. So isn't there a profit motive that is involved in keeping these people locked up in perpetuity. It's all about money.
No question. No question.
So there's your answer right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and I agree. It's a terrible. I mean, I cannot imagine that. I mean, look, here's the deal. I was pro capital punishment for many years. And then I began to see how flawed the system is. And I realized that, look, you cannot take that back. You cannot undo the penalty, of capital punishment. And so many people have been vindicated as completely innocent who were convicted, dead to rights, so to speak. And DNA evidence, the Innocence Project has freed a lot of people who were scheduled to be put to death. So I've just from the perspective of surety, it's not that believe me, I would love to see there's plenty of people who just should be put to death, but that's not, I don't believe that we can answer murder with killing, these people who are, and the second point would be that they're wards of the state in a sense. They have no way to, they're completely at the mercy of the system. I might as well be children as far as how they're, complete control over them by the state. And I think we have to do better in terms of, prison should be difficult, but it shouldn't be torture. I mean, I think our system, there are probably people who got life sentences who, after 40, 50 years say they probably would have preferred to have been put to death because it's such a miserable life. As it should be. It shouldn't be any fun. But it also, again, shouldn't reach the realm of torture. And I think if you're not willing to torture, you shouldn't be willing to kill either in the name of justice. So that's just sort of my view of it.
Yeah, and I mean, Manila kind of touched on a little bit. We got into a pretty fiery debate yesterday, and we're talking about Brian Thompson, all this other stuff. And the way that I look at it is one of my full-time job. I work at a hospital, and what I do is I build medical records and I handle insurance claims. And so I see, and I'm in a small town in Montana. I can't imagine what it's like in a big city. I see hundreds of insurance requests coming through. Insurance is the only product that you pay for. You pay a premium that you brought up to Ted to the tunes of hundreds of dollars a month, every paycheck. You're gambling that you're going to need it. The insurance company's gambling that you're not. And then whenever you get sick, whether it's a cancer or you get an injury, you then submit that claim. That's the only industry where you pay for a product where the service provider can then deny you treatment that you have paid for.
Yeah,
that is a major problem.
Well, they can deny you compensation for it. They can't deny the treatment. So,
yeah, of course. Well, I mean,
but obviously, money, you got to pay. I mean, that's all there is to it.
So then the choice is that you can bankrupt yourself.
Well, I think people ought to also look at the hedge funds who have taken over these many of these big health insurance corporations, and it's all about the bottom line. How much can they squeeze out of how many more yachts can they ski behind? Yep. So it's a whole hierarchy of corruption that goes into this. And I know. I mean, I wish there was it's another tangled web. I mean, when have the government take it over? Because government. The bureaucrats are always so, known for their compassion and their responsiveness.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I'm a right winger. I mean, y'all both know that. Of course,
absolutely.
I mean, I would prefer government control over healthcare than what we currently have, because right now we have this freak, right, where they privatize the profits and they socialize the losses, and the net loser is the population.
Well, but moreover,
that's the biggest problem.
Well, but the government has driven the prices up by competing in the market. So it's like, God, who's going to be the white hat in this situation? Nobody is at this point.
Well, that's why a lot of people are saying that. That's why a lot of people are saying that Luigi is, and wow. So let me make the argument here.
Sure.
So what Manila was saying yesterday was, well, if you don't like it, then get Congress to pass a law to change it, to regulate the insurance companies. That is impossible to do because the lobby controls Congress.
Well, that's
you cannot pass a law.
That's an oversimplified way of what I was saying. I understand the complexities behind it, but there's nothing that prevents the people from trying to get this changed.
Well, the problem is
how complex it is. That's a different argument.
Well, it's impossible to happen because you can't get on. Like, for example, if I wanted to run against Ryan Zinke, There's no way that I can, because he is funded by special lobbyists. You can't just be Joe Citizen and run for office. It is impossible.
Let me ask you this: Are you making a legal argument? Are you making a constitutional argument? Making a moral argument?
I'm actually making the same argument that Thomas Jefferson made in the Principles of the Declaration of Independence. That when a government becomes so big, so tyrannical, that no longer takes the needs of the people that it's supposed to oversee and shepherd into consideration, at that point, it is the duty, it is the duty of the people to then at that point revolt. And rightly or wrongly, I think that's what we're going to start happening now. I think people are starting to wake up. We live in this fantasy here in the West, especially the United States and Western Europe, that we are the land of the free and that your vote matters and that the government serves we the people. That is a lie. The government serves the donor. And people are starting to wake up to that fact. And when more and more people start waking up to the idea that no one in DC gives a tinker's damn about you, that's when you start getting violence, because they see no other way.
Or in any of these large, sprawling, bureaucratic institutions, corporations. I mean, the larger they are, the more unresponsive they are. Social media, tech, you name it, like stealing our data, selling it to the highest bidder. Essentially invading every little tiny aspect of our lives, and they just get away with it. And they'll ban you. They'll ban you in a heartbeat. They'll remove you from. Look at what's happening to Ted. I mean, you're familiar with his situation. I mean, that's just appalling. And I guess you reach a point where, if you're talking about an organized revolt against the government, where it's tough, because I mean, you're talking about an era when this country was formed, when
it's going to be horrible if it happens now. It'll make the French Revolution look like a joke.
Oh, I know it would be awful. It'd be awful on all sides, because clearly they would pull out any the big guns and just slaughter people in the streets. Would the military go along with that, even at this point? As a question. I mean, we are reaching a point where the system is going to have to begin being responsive and being reflecting the will of the people if we're to go on.
I agree, and the onus is on government. People. So here's the argument that I'm making: if I was put on, if I lived in New York, and if I was on the jury for Luigi, I would vote not guilty.
You would nullify.
I would, and here's why: to force the argument.
That
is why I would do it.
That's why, but better a jury do it than have one man decide to be the judge, jury, and executioner.
Well,
how is what he did.
But here's the thing, though: Brian Thompson was responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people for profit. Let's call it what it is. That was his job. His job is to take premiums from people who are paying customers, to then deny them treatment for surgeries or medications that they needed. That was his job, and he did it for profit. That is an undisputable, undeniable fact.
But what is the motive? What is that motive, whether it's for profit or not? The bottom line is, he didn't invent insurance. He didn't invent premiums. He didn't invent the laws that we have. He's a guy that's like less than 50 years old. He's some insurance CEO. He's doing his job.
And also, if Luigi was trying to make a statement, he certainly tried to escape it and was a mystery. Nobody knew why this guy was killed until until he was captured and all that. So, I mean, what did Peter Ustinov say? I see Krypton Steele is saying, "Rioting violence is the voice of the unheard." Peter Ustinov had an interesting. He said, "War is terrorism by the rich, and terrorism is war by the poor." So kind of an interesting, look at that. And, like it's a guy like Luigi is frustrated and all. I mean, look, I just think you should exhaust all possible remedies, and to just randomly kill this one guy. I mean, it just hurts. It hurts the cause. Ultimately, it makes people who are standing up and are wanting to fight the large institutional raping of people, frankly, and the fraud that goes on, and the system that protects it. It just makes them look fringe. It doesn't help the message, and frankly, it makes it easier, I think, for these executives in their minds say, well, F these people, fine. Yeah, I don't mind denying the claims. That's the way. You know what I mean? I think the unintended consequences. You have to look at that larger picture. Sure, it might feel good to see someone who you think is a vile, opportunistic pillager,
a symbol of the system.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it might feel
get
good to
that,
kill
but
that person, or see them die. But I mean, I just think you forfeit your moral standing and ground when you in any way endorse that, or much less participate in it.
No, listen, I agree with you, but the point that I'm trying to make is that whenever people feel rightly or wrongly, I think rightly, that they do not have a voice,
Oh yeah,
then they are going to rebel. And like this whole thing with Charlie Kirk,
and
I
it's
hope I'm
not going to
wrong.
be just fringe people if it keeps
Oh,
up
it's
on
going to
this
escalate.
direction. Yeah,
No, it's going to escalate. I mean, no, I'm a relatively rational person, I like to think. If I'm able, as a Christian, as a fundamentalist Christian, to look at what Luigi did and say, I understand why he did this, and I would vote to acquit in a jury, not to excuse what he did, but to force the conversation. You're going to have people who are going to go to the other extreme and say these people are the enemy, and I'm going to kill them. And that's what we saw with Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was assassinated for stating that biology is real. Men are men, women are women. Abortion is murder. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I mean, those are his three political messages. And then from a spiritual aspect, he was saying Christ is king, and maybe you don't want to live in a Sharia caliphate.
Well, it's
Which I
interesting.
don't.
What is the only position that he's changed of any of his positions in the last, say, since he's been begun proselytizing?
About the last 6 months, he really started kind of turning against Israel when he started.
Against the Zionists, basically.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
for sure.
Zionists, right?
Yeah.
For him, his wake up call, and he actually lost millions of dollars for donors for platforming Tucker Carlson, because he had a sit down with Tucker earlier this year, and I mean they had an actual real conversation talking about wages, about how you have the boomer generation that has all this wealth, and then the next generation is coming up. I mean they've been told you don't get to own a house, you don't get to have health care. If you get sick, you're screwed. Sorry, Israel needs all this money. Oh, by the way, we're going to tax the hell out of you, and then we're going to use that tax dollars to buy bombs that you can then drop on innocent people in Gaza that you're going to pay for. Meanwhile, you have homeless people living under every freaking bridge.
Yeah.
That is a argument.
To be clear, I see a comment on October 7th. I personally felt from the beginning that was a false flag or a let it happen on purpose operation. No question.
Me too.
I completely agree.
And I think frankly, the Zionists, I mean, these people are the source of so much evil around the world right now. And they seem to be escalating in every aspect. And I just, and anybody that gets in their way, look out, your life's in jeopardy. I mean, how is it American commentators? Because apparently I know Harrison Smith, I believe him, when he said that Charlie feared for his life from these people. I mean, that is despicable that a foreign lobby could make American journalists and commentators and activists fear for their lives. Like that is a force that needs to be dealt with by our government, not in bed with it.
Max Blumenthal recently came out with an article saying that one of his sources revealed that Donald Trump is afraid of
I'm sure
the Israel lobby, and
I'm sure that it's not just by happenstance. I'm sure he's been threatened, if only implicitly. I mean, look at Netanyahu brings a golden pager. Give me a break. Like, that is ridiculous. I mean, this guy.
So we have a question.
This guy can't go to hell fast enough.
No. So we have a question for you on Rumble, Tyler, as the lawyer here. What is the definition of terrorism?
Well, it's basically using violence as a means to achieve violence to put fear. Fear generally, it can be violence of whatever it be, threats of violence, to use fear, intimidation, and violence as a means to achieve political objectives.
Yeah. And so the question that I have is that why would the government why is the feds even involved in the Luigi case at all? It happened in New York. Why would they charge him with terrorism? Because what he did is
no, I agree with the ruling. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's not terrorism. I mean, he didn't have a manifesto, or he didn't go out and announce it. He didn't do it on television or make a point. I mean, and he certainly didn't do it to terrorize the general population or an entire group of, he did, unless you're an insurance executive, which maybe some of those people should be terrorized, but not that way. I don't agree with what was done, and I'm with Manila on this, but I totally understand the argument, and I more than understand the frustrations. I went 20 years without health insurance easily. I mean, I finally I'm a disabled veteran now, so I have
finally got your VA stuff.
Yeah, I do. And I'm not. God willing, I won't need that system very much, but I mean, people are put in these positions where it's life or death decisions, and some bean counter, and some executives are all they care about is that bottom line. It's like that's just they're inviting this on themselves.
Very much so. And and my biggest fear, I know we're going over. My biggest fear is that people on the right. I'm not going to say conservatives, because I'm a right winger. I'm not a conservative. There's nothing in this system I want to conserve. I want to blow it up, do a hard reboot, and start over. There's nothing in our current legal system or government structure that I want to conserve at all. It needs to be nuked, torn down, and rebuilt. What my concern is that people on the right, rightly or wrongly, are going to perceive that it's their blood being spilled, that they're being hunted, that they're being targeted by people who deny reality, who say that men can be women, women can be men, and go around preaching it's okay to kill unborn babies because they're an inconvenience. And when the right what I'm concerned about is that people on the right are going to say enough is enough. Maybe it's time to make the other side bleed. And when that happens, all bets are off. And I hope to God I'm wrong, but that's where I see it's going.
Yeah, well, it's going to be, I mean, look, you have people who they talk a big game, they revel in this violence and death, but I mean, they're delusional. They are so detached. Yeah. I don't know how far removed from reality they are. They're so coddled by the privilege we have to live in the country we do, and the relative peace that we have, that they think this is, I mean, they've just, their minds are rotted. And that's a real problem, because the right is extremely patient. But if there's a collective, like, we're done, it will be a bloodbath, and it won't be the ones preaching and advocating for it right now either.
No, if one side typically has more guns and knows how to use them, they're probably going to win in that kind of a conflict.
Yeah, and wants to restore, a peaceful society, a peaceful and just society. Whereas the others are just, I mean, I don't even know what they stand for. I think they're just megalomaniacal control freaks, most of them, and the others are just stooges and dupes.
Yeah, well, it's like Family Low right there on Rumble. Just says, I was banned on YouTube for saying only women can have ovarian cancer. What happens when you can't even post medical facts online?
Wow.
And I think this is all part of the provocation.
Of course it is.
They want to set odds with each other because they can sit atop this and continue to reign their corrupt, kleptocracy.
Yeah, but this Robertson kid, he screwed up because, like you said earlier, Charlie Kirk was a moderate. I'm far more radical than Charlie Kirk ever thought of being.
Yeah,
that's true.
What he's doing is that he's amplifying voices like me, because we no longer have that governor, and that's the issue.
I still think that there is more to that than meets the eye.
Oh, for sure. Far more. A lot of unanswered questions there. But yeah, Tyler, it's a perfect day for you to join us. Yesterday was your birthday. Again, I want to wish you a public happy birthday.
Thank you.
Now that you're 35 and able to run for president against AOC in 2028, is that going to happen?
Of course. No, it's Nixon 36. It rhymes. Yeah, I'm 54 actually. God, I wish I'd to go the Jack Benny route and just hold at 39 or 49 even would be all right. 49 is the new 39, right?
Yeah, I don't know. 39 seems kind of young still to me. I feel like if you're going to be president, like, I feel like you got to at least be in your mid 40s, at least.
Well, I think Robbie should put his hat in the ring.
I would get assassinated.
He really would.
No, I 100% would. I would get.
I don't know,
because all the right people will be hating me.
You're right on the topics, but you don't sound. You're not bombastic and antagonistic, and that's what I think is the real problem. Is this this desire to antagonize and provoke the other side. That's like it's like a blood sport at this point. And the left is exceedingly good at it. It really getting under people's skin and just demonizing them, and it's awful.
Well, the big part of the problem is people on the right, Tyler, myself included. Yeah, if you start being called a Nazi for telling the truth, then the knee-jerk reaction is just keep doing it, keep canceling us, keep coming after us, keep trying to wreck us economically. I will show you what a Nazi is. If that's what you want, by God, I will show you. And that's what scares the hell out of me.
And that's what's scary about what is possibly to come sooner rather than later.
Well, what's frustrating is that they're engaging in Nazism themselves. They're the National Socialists, yet they throw around these terms. It's just it's so incoherent and absurd. As you just have to think these are mind washed, half of them conditioned subjects of the people like the Klaus Schwabs of the world, the Bond villain types who exist. Why can't they just take out? Why can't they take out one of these guys? Why is it always got to be the good ones?
Look, I would say, like, when we're looking at these Gen Z kids that are committing this type of violence, like we saw allegedly Thomas Crooks trying to shoot at Donald Trump's head. Allegedly, I still have a lot of questions about that. Now we have this alleged Robinson kid. So these are all the Gen Z kids, right, that were brought up their whole lives being taught that words are violence. Thoughts are scary. Other people's differing opinions are scary. So their response, if you're taught your whole life to think that words are violence, then what is violence? Violence is also violence. So to them, there's like no difference. Then you add in this whole virtual world, the gaming world, and that's all they know.
Yeah.
And, that they can't tell it's almost, there's
it's
a cognitive
crazy.
dissonance,
It's
right?
like violent snowflakes. This anomalous sort of like existence of these people who've been they're conditioned into this they have this muscular sort of, when they embrace political ideology and the extreme, yet they're a joke. I mean, in terms of like their physical prowess and just ability to, obviously they can carry out violence if they're really diabolical and sneaky about it, like this guy with the rifle and all. But for the most part, though, in a head-to-head clash, they would get slaughtered. I mean, very quickly.
For sure.
And it's sad because I think whoever the education system, the indoctrination, the dumbing down, the incoherent ideology, counter to the science. It's not science. It's not it's the science, where they preach the science at you, but a man can be a woman, etc. And they've rotted these people's brains, and they're just confused. But I have to say, there are a lot of good people in that generation, who have weathered through that, and for some reason have an innate common sense. And I think they will rise to eclipse, frankly, like the Charlie Kirks. They'll rise to eclipse all the whack jobs who get all the attention.
I hope you're right, because it's a scary thing when you've had 15, 20 years of the educational system indoctrination telling these young minds, these young students, right, elementary school on up through college, that there's safe spaces. You should be coddled. You should only hear thoughts and words that are pretty and wonderful and lollipops and rainbows and unicorns. that should be your world. And then you come out to the real world and you hear people that say things that are contrary to what you want to hear, what you like. And in this case, Charlie Kirk, right?
Yeah.
Peacefully coming onto your campus to have dialogue, whether you like it or not. It's peaceful dialogue. And that's what this guy snuffed out, was because he allegedly views, according to these text messages, that Charlie Kirk's, language is the equivalent of physical violence.
Well, I mean, I'll pop out on this, and I have to say, as appalling and as just horrifying as, the murder actually was, I feel much more just like grim and appalled at the reaction to it. That like people could dance in the street, and these wicked, like vicious. It's like, wow. And I mean, let's face it. If they were trying to do their side any good by silencing Charlie, all they did was raise a cacophony of horror voice, like people expose what they're really about. And it's not a pretty picture. And I think the vast majority, I would hope relatively, of the American people, the electorate, the silent majority, if you want to call it that, are also appalled at this and are just disgusted and think these people are despicable. So, the fact that we're a polite and very tolerant society, unlike them, actually, is the irony of it all, because it allows them to run amok and claiming to be tolerant where they're really the most intolerant of all and the most despicable, bloodlusting trash from hell. I just hope they get their comeuppance, whether it has to be cosmic or, frankly, if we have to, if there has to be, some serious cracking down, because you can't have every kid that has some notion in his head, some sense of empowerment, because, like you said, of gaming and isolation and the constant conditioning from this bubble of cracked, incoherent, hard left or really radical, whatever you want to call it, ideology. Like their brains are rotted, and we they're gonna have to be dealt with. And let's hope a lot of them can be recovered. A lot of people turn their lives around in other ways, but there are some who are just too far gone, and they embrace it, and they're not gonna like what's coming if they keep it up.
If you're a dude, you don't get to go into a bathroom or a gym with my daughter. I'm sorry, you don't get to do that.
Absolutely not.
You do not get to do that. And if you do, I will end you.
I mean, the whole minor attracted persons thing, like these people are they are painting targets on their back, and rightfully so, with flirting with that kind of stuff.
I would advise everybody to read this old, it's not super old, but it's old, this classic, The Clash of Civilizations and the Remaking of World Order by Samuel Huntington. Now, I don't agree 100% with the assertions of this book, but it explains a lot about how you define civilization, and specifically it venerates Western civilization, obviously.
Well, also the civil society, the notion of a civil society. Civilizations are, that's a broader picture, but no, we want a civil society. We want to be able to live in peace amongst each other and not have constant vituperation and enmity and bile spewed all over. I mean, you can't even you take a moderate guy and he gets his fucking head blown off. That's right. Yeah, really horrifying.
And we're no longer in that Western civilization. That's like the core tenet of the word.
That's right.
We're not there anymore, and it's a terrifying place to be. And before you know it, we're in it's just purge.
Yeah, it's crazy that they would say, "Oh, Western civilization, is chauvinism about it," and all. It's like as if we have some sort of, there's some sort of identification with like a racial or nationalism. No, it's Western civilization is like the preservation of justice and peace and human rights and that kind of stuff. That's what we mean. We're not talking about like just a pure tribalistic clash of cultures.
Right. No, if we're so bad, why is the whole world trying to come here uninvited?
Amen, brother.
So close the borders. They can just stay the hell out. If that's what you want, please stay in the shithole from which you spawned.
Yeah.
I take it both of you have probably read this book. Tyler, for sure, probably.
I have not. But I mean, I've studied, intimately that type of literature. So, I'm a big advocate of the Enlightenment and Western culture and Western society and civilization, because of the what has provided the world in terms of. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's being corrupted, though. I mean, it's like, what can we say? I mean, it's
this book walks us through like comparative cultures and contrasting cultures, as well as like Middle Eastern culture, Asian culture. And mind you, this was written like in the Zbigniew Brzezinski era, so he was already predicting. Samuel Huntington was predicting how this world order was going to shift to the east unless and lest the West do XYZ.
I think it comes down to the sanctity of the individual human being is what the key feature is that contrasts with the rest of the world, where collectivism and the greater good, quote unquote, is always taking precedence over the sanctity of each individual human being in each life, and I think that's really what separates us, and that we've got to maintain that. And that's what they're trying to defile by, oh, you can just have your life liquidated and you don't matter. Your life is worthless because of you disagree with, or you've said things that some freaks find odious.
Yeah. Well, we will leave it there because we've gone way over. But Tyler was late, but that's okay. You're the birthday boy.
I'm so sorry about that.
We'll allow that.
I was pulling my hair out. Next time it will be all set up and fixed and ready to go.
No, hey, it's good to talk to you again, Tyler.
Next time, I hope.
No, there will be. You're good people. I miss talking to you.
Yeah, likewise. It's great to be with you guys, and I appreciate the invitation.
Yeah, the audience was howling for you, waiting for you. So you got a lot of viewer fans out there.
Well, hopefully it's not like the lynch mob over at Sputnik. God.
Well,
there's some
winners. I don't think they were all lynch mobbing you, though. I think a lot of them. I said no. I'm reading the comments. They're very thoughtful. All encrypt steel. Just good people. Yeah. Thank you all. Yeah, I was the one, if anything, roasting you, saying that you're boomering it.
I know. God, please, anything but that. I mean, call me millennial, call me a boomer. Them's fighting words, lady.
You're ardently hard Gen X for sure. Like obviously a latchkey kid. Obviously.
Yes, I'm absolutely. I'm proud of it.
All right, Tyler. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you again soon, buddy. Thank you.
Wonderful. Take care.
And we've got a new admin. I want me to read it real quick before we pull the plug.
Yes, please do.
All right, just 1 second here, y'all. Thank you, Rumble, for supporting the TMI show. Looking for a comfortable but unique option for your gaming setup? I know I am. Check out techisportusa.com with a wide range of ergonomic chairs and an array of colors. You will definitely bring your setup to the next level. Always comfy, never boring. TechniSport. Use code RUMBLE for 10% off the entire order.
Was that it?
That was it. Nice short little ad.
Okay.
Of course, with a Southern drawl, nothing's ever short.
I wasn't sure. That's why I was like, are we done?
That's it?
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Tyler. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Obviously, Tyler started late, so we went over a little bit because I know Tyler's got a lot of great hot takes on stuff. Appreciate that.
Whatever, more than a little bit.
Yes. So we'll leave that there. We'll figure out if we're taping today or whatever of our premium. We'll sort that out off air. Thank you all. We'll be back Thursday. Yeah, tomorrow's Thursday. Yeah, tomorrow's Thursday.
Thursday.
Adios, amigos. Thank you. Bye.